A sacred burden in this life ye bear. Look on it, lift it, bear it solemnly. Stand up and walk beneath it steadfastly. Fail not for sorrow, falter not for sin, but onward, upward, to the goal ye win. The goal of life is an exalted one, which is not beyond the reach of any normal human being. The goal of a Muslim should be to attain to a high degree of holiness and righteousness. God says in the Holy Quran, "Verily, the most honorable among you in the sight of Allah is the one who is most righteous among you." The Holy Quran teems with verses exhorting Muslims to cultivate within themselves the spirit of righteousness. We read, "The best and the most elegant dress is the raiment of righteousness." And again, "Those who do good and act righteously shall have a great reward." The aspiration of every Muslim should be, therefore, to clothe himself in the mantle of righteousness, for this is the message of the Holy Quran. This spiritual trophy sparkles like a coruscating diamond glittering on the summit of a snow-capped peak. Few are those who ascend the heights to claim it, because the path is slippery and the ascent steep. The acquisition of righteousness calls for complete submission to the will of God, so that every thought, word, and act should be for the glory of God. The blessed man who is illumined with the light of righteousness is unlike other men. The light on his face seems to shine from the windows of another world, and his demeanor is colored with spiritual grace and charm. The atmosphere around him is sweeter and more refreshing than the scented breeze blowing softly across the meadows on a summer evening. God desires to manifest his attributes through all, and to bestow his grace and favors on all. But the servant of God must strive and prove himself worthy and fit if he wishes to be a recipient of these heavenly gifts. The Holy Prophet of Islam has said that if a man crawls towards God, then God comes walking towards him. And if he walks towards God, then God comes running towards him. God helps those who help themselves. The citadel of faith is being attacked constantly by satanic missiles, and for this reason 6 extremely destructive ones will be reviewed here. We have to strive to overcome them, although the battle will be hard. In this spiritual jihad, we may be encouraged by the promise of God, "Allah is the protector of those who believe." Who are the believers? They are those who strive in the path of Allah and obey those who are in authority over them. And also they are those who humble themselves before Allah and purge their hearts of selfishness and pride. In their hearts there is a yearning to become cleansed of all impurities, and should they hastily or even inadvertently do anything displeasing to Allah, the ache of remorse gnaws at their souls. Every age has produced great men who have reached the summit of success through sheer perseverance and dogged resolution. Some of these famous figures had little or no schooling and passed their early years in abject poverty. Yet they rose to become leaders of nations, industry, and invention. Many of them died multimillionaires. They harnessed their inner powers and climbed to the top of their respective professions. But their vision was limited to the confines of this world. What wonderful spiritual achievements lie in store for those who prefer to direct their attention towards heaven, and they marshal all their energies towards the development and purification of their souls. What great spiritual leaders they could become. What tremendous spiritual opportunities Islam offers man. How foolish is he who does not take advantage of them, but gives preference to the comforts and enjoyments of this life. God says, "Verily he truly prospers who purifies himself and remembers the name of the Lord and offers prayer." But you prefer the life of this world, whereas the hereafter is better and more lasting. A Muslim should see to it that he grows from strength to strength, not from strength to weakness, which, unhappily, has happened only too often. Young Muslims and converts attach themselves to the faith with zeal and enthusiasm, but as the years slip by, they also slip away. The aim of a Muslim should be to remain steadfast and progressive in faith throughout his life, never content to remain static, but restless to reach new horizons. There are times, no doubt, when he feels that he is making no progress, but this may not really be true. However, these are times when he must be vigilant and tighten his grip on the rope of Allah. Dale Carnegie, who has written a number of books on personal development, notes that realization of progress seems to come in periodical jerks and not gradually, degree by degree. One seems to mark time for a while and then suddenly becomes conscious of having attained a higher stage of progress and understanding. This is very true in spiritual development also. The spiritual wayfarer is harassed constantly by satanic germs, and the following 6 negative influences cause the commonest and most destructive forms of spiritual cancer. 1. Irritability. 2. Laziness. 3. Pride. 4. Jealousy. 5. Fear. And 6. Loved ones before God. Irritability. Benjamin Franklin said, "A man in a passion rides a mad horse." One of the greatest scourges of mankind is a fever of the brain known as irritability. Only those who have been cleansed by the Holy Spirit are immune from this disease, and such persons are far and few between. An ideal home is a haven of peace, while a broken home is hell on earth. The man who is always irritable with his wife and children is a sick man who cannot live at peace with others. But let him make a pledge to curb his irate tongue at home, and in proportion to his progress will his relationship with humanity improve. Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, the promised Messiah and holy founder of the Ahmadiyya community, has said that many are smooth in appearance, but inwardly they are like ravening wolves. There are those who are regarded as men of spiritual eminence, and indeed they appear to be so when surrounded by their admirers. But when they are provoked, their countenances quickly flush with anger, and unexpected harsh and bitter words fall from their lips, causing bewilderment and frustration to those who hold them in high esteem. Whereas anger is justified on certain occasions, it should be held under control and not allowed to run wild. As the rider guides and controls the swift horse on which he sits, so should one be master of one's anger, directing it and halting it as necessary. A practical aid in holding back anger is, when angry, count 10 before you speak. Anger, peevishness, resentment, and all other negative moods throw off vital energy at a terrific rate, reducing one to a state of physical and mental weakness, even to nervous prostration. Every thought or action that is not calm wastes energy and throws one out of poise, which is not conducive to spiritual development. Excitement is weakness. Calmness is strength. And yet, greater strength is energetic repose, wherein the system is charged with energy and emotion, but at the same time held under perfect control. It is the combination of these two forces which is so essential for the development of spiritual poise. Poise generates and projects magnetism. Irritability saps the body of its energy, which could better be used and directed along some useful channel. The test of true greatness is to remain composed when it is difficult to refrain from flying into a disagreeable mood. Irritability is a creeping cancer of the mind, heart, and soul, which, if not checked, will leave its victim spiritually prostrate. The nagging wife and the quarrelsome husband make a pair of demons. It is said that women are more emotional than men, but sometimes it appears to be vice versa. The poor wife sobs silently while her blustering and intemperate husband excoriates her with his double-edged tongue. The promised Messiah has said, "It seems highly disgraceful that we, being men, should quarrel with women." The promised Messiah was a paragon of gentleness and forbearance. His domestic life reflected the peace of heaven. Tranquility and concord colored the atmosphere of his home, and never did a harsh or bitter word fall from his lips, despite the tumult and mischievous pranks of children. Never was he known to scold them, even when engaged in his deep literary compositions. Once he was asked by his companion Mulvi Abdul Karim how he was able to remain undisturbed and think so coolly amidst such noise. He replied, "I do not heed what is going on about me, and therefore I am not disturbed." The same companion has also recorded the following observation about the promised Messiah. During my long stay in close proximity of the promised Messiah, I never heard him remonstrating with any person in the house or calling upon anyone to render an account.